to the Loading Up Podcast. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Loading Up Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts today, Brother Zay. And today we have producer Jay with us. What's going on, man?
What up, my friend?
What's going on? Well, we have a lot to talk about, but before we get to the show and all the shenanigans of this week's past news, let's talk about our sponsors. We have W Energy, where you can save 10% by using code LUP at checkout. We also have links down in the description for NordVPN, where you click the link, you can save up to 67% off on a 2-year subscription. Totally worth it to get into. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's all free to do. And if you're listening to us on a podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, don't forget to rate us so everybody can hear us and everybody can comment down below and yell at me if they want. So no problem. I'll yell back. All right. Now let's get into it. Producer Jay, what you been playing recently?
So I'm still going through Metal Gear Solid. Still doing the playthrough. So I plan on doing like 3. I always do whenever I'm like replaying games. I always plan on doing 3 playthroughs. 1 just to play for myself, and then 2 to do it on the easiest difficulty to mop up achievements, and then 3 is the hardest difficulty. That's my method, because I need to like get everything out of the way before I do the longest challenge, which I don't think it'll be that hard, because I remember the last one I played, the original one, not the remake. It wasn't that hard, and I was surprised by that. So hopefully this remains the same. But yeah, so I'm still making it through. I'm playing some of it on my Xbox Ally, and like it still like shocks me that like I'm playing these games, like these full-blown games on the go. Like I know like it's kind of like old hat now, because like handheld gaming has been around for so long now, and or like I don't want to say handheld gaming, but like handheld gaming on the level of like console gaming or PC gaming. That it's just like it seems weird to be amazed by it still, but like I'm still, maybe it's just because Metal Gear Solid's like the first one where it's just like wow, you know?
Like a full
Um
AAA game
yeah,
on the go, you know?
I associate like this is like a full like top of the level game. Like I don't know. And granted, I played other ones too, but I don't know, for whatever reason this one is still, it's just like damn, I'm playing Metal Gear Solid. Like I don't know. It could just be that I'm a fan of the game, so it's like it's nice that I can play at home and on handheld. Um, but yeah, other than that, I'm still playing Divinity with my wife. We're still in the first area. It's a big area. Like I'm
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
still surprised at how much there is to do, and it's like there's a lot of depth to it, because at first like it feels kind of like um I don't know how to explain it. Like it feels very simple at first, but then
Yeah.
like it unlocks layers very fast, and you got to kind of put things together. Whereas that's one of the beneficial things about like Baldur's Gate, where it kind of like it takes that same formula, but it like links it together evenly or easily, so that way it's not like too much of a stretch to like figure out what's the next step. But this one, it was like obviously the one before that, so it's like it's a little bit harder to kind of figure out what's next to do.
Yeah, they don't
Um,
hold your hand in this one
they
for
de-
sure.
they definitely do not, and you really got to pay attention to this stuff. Like I always say, and if you've watched like live streams of when I played like the Resident Evil uh 4, like my main thing, I don't read any text. Like if there's text, I'm just skipping through that shit. I do not care. I'll listen to the story, and if I need it, I'll go back to like the codex or whatever.
Oh my
Or like
God.
whatever that. That's just my thing. I don't read text. Like if there's text, I'm not going to read it. But this time I gotta do it because there's a lot of context that I need. Uh,
Yeah.
It's not very like apparent that you need to read certain stuff. So like now I
Mm-hmm.
gotta change up how I like look around for like clues on what to do next, because like it's just how the game is. You gotta read the stuff, and it's very frustrating for me, but it's also rewarding. So like I can't complain too much about it. Um
I
Yeah.
used to be like that before I got into like, these turn-based action, RPG games that we played now, and now
Yeah.
I have to read everything because I'm gonna miss all the crucial info, like with Persona 5. Like a lot of it's text. Yes, they have like cutscenes and a lot of them talking as well, but it's still you gotta read a lot.
Yeah.
So you have to like sort of change how you play these type of RPG games versus like an action game.
Yeah, and thankfully, what helps me out is that my wife has the memory of an elephant. She can remember every single little thing. That like one thing, something will happen like way in the beginning, and then I'll forget about it, and then she'll be like, "Oh wait, you remember that guy that we spoke to that he said he had the thing?" I'm like, "Who? Who's that?" It's like- but it helps out. I was like, "Oh yeah, now I remember. Now it's coming back to me." So it's like she's definitely helping me out. So
Good.
I have a little cheat code in her.
Very nice.
But what you been playing, man?
Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you see me playing Far Cry 4. Um I always love Far Cry 4. I don't know, a lot of people didn't like it too much. They said Far Cry 3 was better, and that may be, but Far Cry 4 for me was really good. So I was playing Far Cry 4. I also knee deep into Persona 5, like I mentioned earlier. I'm absolutely loving it. The stages, the battles, the story. I officially romanced one character, even though my good friend Brea told me I should wait until I meet more characters because maybe I want to romance them, but it's like it's too late. I'm done. I kind of made my decision already, so
You
I was
fell
like, all
in love
right.
at first sight.
Yeah, so I'm ready. I already got the romance option out the way. Now just powering through the story. It's so fun. Persona 5, and then this is the Royal Edition. So Persona 5 Royal is so good, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to continue playing. It's pretty much exclusively what I've been playing for the last month or so.
Nice.
It's
Okay.
yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, I guess we could jump right into the news. We got a little bit to discuss.
Yes,
Um,
we do.
well, let's start with Sony because last week was basically all about Sony
Yes.
and their their take on digital games and how they're going to stop it. So it turns out that the CEO decided his name is Hiroki Toki. He decided before the news broke he was going to sell half of his shares, totaling in 225,000 shares of Sony stock. Sold it before the news broke. An estimated $5 million he made off of those shares. Because I really feel like they just knew it was gonna be bad. They were gonna get bad press. People were gonna be upset, and the stocks might tank. So he was like, you know what, cash in now, because I don't want to wait it out.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened.
If there was any doubt of PlayStation's intentions regarding this stuff, and people saying, "Oh, they could reverse, they could go backpedal and stuff," they're not doing nothing.
Yeah,
They planned for this, and they
yeah,
know that it's gonna take a while for people to calm down about it, and I guess come back to PlayStation. Because right now, like I don't want to say there's like a mass exodus. Like there's people saying that they're not gonna buy PS6, but PS6 is at least like a year or two away. So it's like there's plenty of time for them to change their mind, and they will. They always do. So I think PlayStation took a calculated move, and also when they posted this, they took like a hiatus off social media, and everybody was talking about when they're gonna come back, what's their next post gonna be, and if they're gonna address anything that has been going on the past few days. And lo and behold, that didn't happen either.
yeah,
And they just started posting about what was it, an arcade fighting stick, like
yeah. They
that.
posted their arcade stick.
That's it. That's what they thought was the best thing to post. And granted, it could have been something that was already scheduled. You know how these things go. So, but the fact that they didn't address anything that happened and they're just moving forward, um, it just shows that they're committed to this. I don't think they're reversing anything.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't only the CEO, the Sony chief strategy officer as well, the CSO. He also sold shares. Made almost $1 million. So like they knew, and they sold their shares knowing that they want to just if they have like super backlash, their stock drops. They didn't want to lose any money, so they just sold it. So this is definitely something they're
And
not going to backpedal on.
and what's interesting too is that the stock didn't even drop. It went up.
Yeah.
So it's like now they have a positive reinforcement regarding the news that they just did. So it's like they're definitely not going to do it now.
Well, a big part of why it went up was because we talked about how they're repurposing the disc factories, right,
Yeah.
to make their parts, the
Micro
laser parts, micro
lenses.
lenses
Yeah.
and stuff. We talked about how it was for cars. That was the initial report, but on the flip side of that is that they're also used in AI data centers. So
Oh.
so they're gonna be making money hand over fist with these products coming out of these this manufactured places, just because they're gonna be using that for AI. So, and we all know that I think it was like 2 weeks ago where we reported that they're going full in on AI. So this could be a part of that. They're just making money because AI is making them more money than a physical game disc ever could.
Yeah. I mean, that makes more sense considering what we spoke about before.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I really hope nobody's holding out hope that they're gonna change stuff. I don't think they're gonna do it. It would take a massive negative backlash for them. It would take them people canceling their GTA 6 pre-orders. That's the only way I can see PlayStation being like, "Hey," or it wouldn't even be PlayStation. It'd be Rockstar being like, "Hey, people are canceling their pre-orders because of this. You might want to do something about it." Because I don't think they'd be happy about it.
I mean, I don't know because like GTA doesn't care.
Well, well,
I think they've already made enough money, and they're like, it doesn't matter to us. That's why they only have a digital version of the game coming out.
well,
They
it
knew.
depends. I don't know what the pre-ordering system is on PlayStation
Oh, they
because
take
I
the money
know.
right away.
Oh, they do? Okay, so then I guess it doesn't matter.
Right
Well, I guess
away.
they could get refunds and stuff like that, but I don't think the amount of people would even come close to the amount of people that actually care. Because
I don't
I
even.
don't think I think the large majority don't really care about this stuff. It's just a very vocal minority that is being like obviously vocal on social media about this stuff and they're ratioing PlayStation and stuff like that and it seems like there's a movement going, but I don't think it amounts to much. I think people are being, like, vocal for the sake of being vocal, but when push comes to shoves, they're really not gonna do anything.
I mean, we got firsthand experience with that with this next article. We talk about Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2 got ports and they're out now for
Oh,
PS5, and they came at a high cost, and it's the number one game on PlayStation. A
yeah.
digital only game that's like 13 years old, right? It's number one in the PlayStation Store, and it just goes to show you it didn't even last that long. We're expecting a year to 2 years. No, it lasted 2 weeks. People went and brought the digital games, and now they're the number one games on the store.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny too because my brother, he's not that much of a gamer. Like he plays games, but he's like the gun and ball gamer.
Yeah.
Um, he um he was telling me about that Black Ops came out on the PS5, like a native version, and he was saying, "Oh, it's like it's back how I remember and stuff like that." And he bought it, and yeah, he's been playing it ever since. So it's just like most people are like that, where they're not paying attention to all this stuff about like physical discs and all that stuff. And I think people need to realize that that's who PlayStation is catering to, because those are the people who buy the games, and they're not gonna cater to people who are trying to make a statement or stuff like that, like because they know at the end of the day they're still gonna buy the games. If
Yeah,
Wolverine still sells, then that'll show everything that PlayStation needs to see.
yeah, for sure. What really sucks though about the Call of Duty stuff is that all Xbox players get all this for free. You know, if you owned
Right.
it already before, you just re-download it. If you and all the DLC is all free on Xbox. You
Yeah,
know, so and they fixed the servers, by the way,
they
on
did.
Xbox because a lot of the servers were just broken, and
Mhm.
now it's all fixed. So if you owned it in the past, you can just go ahead and re-download it and play it, and it's just it goes to show you digital is definitely not going anywhere. It's more convenient, but it's better. I not I don't want physical discs to go away, but digital a digital future is coming.
Yeah, it's inevitable. And like I've been very upfront about the fact that I've been all digital for like a decade, and I understand that that's my decision, but I would never like vote like advocate for other people to lose the physical option. Like if that's what they prefer, then that's what they prefer. I would never say no, you shouldn't have that option. But that's what Sony is saying. So it's like, I don't know. Like what are you gonna do? Like I don't think there's much you can do.
No, not even with our next article. Even the EU cannot stop Sony and other developers from scrapping physical discs. The article goes on to state that last month, after Sony decided to grab discs after January 2028, the EU started to get involved, and the Ireland's EU commissioner has said that they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. You know,
That
it's
is
like not even the European Union can stop Sony from screwing over their customers.
yeah, that's actually kind of crazy because usually when it comes to tech and like in or the tech industry, they tend to try and get away with a lot of bullshit, essentially, put it lightly. Um, and it's always like it always seems like the EU is the one who has to kind of step in and put a stop to things or kind of regulate these companies to make sure that they don't try to freaking go too overboard with this stuff. Um, one of the more notable ones was Apple with the USB-C stuff that they wanted to continue to use Thunderbolt, and obviously Thunderbolt was a proprietary thing. And I mean, if you've owned a iPhone or even an Android, you've been through the whole conversation with somebody. It's just like, oh, you got a charger. Oh, which one? Do you have the new one or the old one? You got the Android one. Ah, I can't use that one. Like it's a whole freaking song and dance. It's very annoying, but the EU stopped it, and now
Nah, I just call them broke. Oh, you got the broke phones? All right. Nah, we don't do that here.
we don't do that one. I mean, it still happens for yeah, for people who have the older iPhones, they still got to go through that. But just the fact that now like more people don't have that issue anymore. Like everybody's using the same charger. And that's great. And that's something that the EU had to step in and do.
Yeah.
But the fact that they can't do anything for this is like that's pretty much GG. Like there's really it's really on Sony for for them to even do anything about this because it's obviously it's their decision. So you kind of have to trust that they might listen, which
Well, yeah, it does say in the article that they the companies are free to do with what they want in a free market as long as it doesn't impede on the rights of the EU citizens. So as long as they're being fair about it, it'll be okay. 'Cause they're not doing anything right now because discs are still available, digital's available. You can buy those games elsewhere. So it really just depends on how Sony moves. They can get around this legally with no problem if they do things right.
I well that's I guess we're gonna have to see because honestly, the only way I can see Sony getting away with this is if they're very upfront about the fact that you can't well, I guess when the PS6 does get announced, they have to be upfront about what this device can and can't do. and it's not going to play physical disc, but there has to be like some type of add-on that will let you still play like PS4 and PS5 games physical disc, because that's
Nah.
that there's you can't there's no way they can get away with having people be charged like that. They have to buy the game again, essentially. There's no way they can get
I
away
mean,
with
they
that.
do that now. You can't play all PS4 games on your PS5. You know, it's not
Ah,
fully backwards compatible.
I'm pretty well, you can't play every single one, but
Well,
you
that's what
can
I'm
play
saying.
the vast majority of one of them.
Well, I mean, it's not fully for me. It's not fully backwards compatible. You can't play PS1, PS2, PS3
Well,
games on
that
there.
yeah,
You
that's
can't. You can't
yeah.
play the full back catalog of PS4, so it's not backwards compatible. You know, they kind of
At least
force you to.
not physically, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of force you anyway, and nobody stopped them then. What's going to stop them in the future?
That's a good point. Yeah, they never really, cuz like one reason why I feel like the Xbox backwards compatibility program is better is not even just the library that's available. It's the fact that it supports physical discs. Like if you
Yeah,
have old 360 games, you can just pop it in, and if it's supported, you can play it again. Like that's like a very easy thing that PlayStation could do, and they just didn't. Cause I even found it was I was cleaning up the other day, and I found my physical copy of Portal 2. And I was like, "Oh shit, I forgot I had this." And I was telling my wife, I was like, "Oh, this is a fun puzzle game we could play." And I have it. I have it physical. I could put it in the disc, and it'll download the game. So it's like I didn't even have to think about, "Oh, I gotta buy it again on the store." It's like, "No, I have it already."
I think
So
that game was free anyway.
it probably was, but still, I have the disc, so I
Because
didn't have to think about it.
I own it digitally, and I don't remember ever buying Portal 2. So this guy had to have been free at one
It
point.
was probably like a Games with Gold thing
Yeah,
at
yeah,
one point.
yeah.
But,
That's
yeah,
funny.
that's one leg up that Xbox has for backwards compatibility, and you would kinda have to hope that they would at least try and do something like that, but there's
Yeah.
no guarantee.
No, there's definitely not. I mean, the future remains, let's say, gray with Sony and the physical disc. We know they're not going backwards, but let's see how they move forward.
Yes.
And with that, that ends the PlayStation news. Now we gotta get over to Xbox. So the big Xbox reset has officially begun this past week. We got updates from Asha Sharma herself. She posted them on Twitter. It was it's a lengthy post, but we're gonna read it all so we can have all the context of like what's going on. And it starts here. It says, "This is an important email I sent to all Xbox employees." It says, "Team, we are beginning the most significant restructure in Xbox history. After carefully considering, have made the difficult decision to reduce our team by approximately 3,200 throughout the fiscal year 27. This will include approximately 1,600 role eliminations today, and in addition, 4 studios will leave Xbox to new management. I recognize this that a year-long reconstruction creates additional challenges. Unfortunately, it is not possible to make all the necessary changes in a single day, and I want to be direct about the scale. I know this is painful. These changes will directly affect people who have poured their creativity into building Xbox. Many joined us through acquisitions, while others were recruited here or sought us out because they loved the industry and loved Xbox. Today's decision does not reflect their talent or dedication. Our business today is not healthy. We're operating at margins that are 3 to 10 times lower than comparable platforms and publishing businesses. We entered Gen 9 with a smaller install base and a higher cost structure. To grow, we bet on Game Pass, multi platform, and a broader portfolio of content. While those businesses have created meaningful value, they did not grow at the pace we expected. As that happened, our core business weakened and we added more teams, more investment, and more time, hoping for a better outcome. And now the industry is facing the most severe hardware crisis in its history and says we must reset Xbox. First, we will reset our content portfolio. Since 2018, we are aggressively expanding our studio portfolio while the number of games created each month across the industry now outpaces the last 10 years combined. We now find ourselves competing not only with the largest publishers, but also with the smaller independent studios. It is neither possible nor desirable to own every great independent studio. We also learned that we are not the best home for every type of studio. In a typical year, we lost 64 cents for every dollar we invested. As we reset Xbox, we will help independent creators succeed by providing open development tools and audiences to realize their vision. Compulsion Games and Double Fine Productions will return to management and transition to independent studios with their IP, catalog, and runway for their next games. Ninja Theory and Undead Labs have entered terms to join new ownerships with funding to compete and grow Senua and State of Decay 3. In France, Arcane's management is beginning required consultation with its work council to review potential strategic options. We are also making reductions across other units and in some cases shifting investments to focus on higher priority projects. These changes may vary in size across Activision, Bethesda, ZeniMax, Blizzard King, Mojang, and Xbox Game Studios. None of our first-party publicly announced games or products are being canceled as part of these reductions. In addition, Mojang and Kang will now report directly to me. These two studios have increasingly become platforms and are our largest bi-monthly active players. They bring critical geographic, demographic, and differentiation to Xbox. Second, we will reset our platform. We know that great technology gets better when it gets simpler, not bigger. Today, in some parts of the company, work passes through as many as 14 layers of management. Our platform teams are 40% larger than they were at the start of this generation. Even as our player base and player time have declined, that complexity has slowed decisions, blurred accountability, and made it harder to deliver for players. As we reset Xbox, we will simplify. We will reduce management layers to no more than 5, and where possible, 3. We will deliver success through a flatter organization that is built around markers. Individual contributors focused on building, player, coaches, leaders who remain deeply involved in the work while developing their teams, and directly responsible individuals, DRIs, who own key decisions and outcomes. And we will streamline how we work across our tools with a cleaner code base, shared services, and 50% reduction vendor spending. Third, we are resetting how we operate. As Xbox grew our headcount, we became more fragmented. Teams, studios, and functions often operate independently, and it becomes harder to work toward a shared goal, making the right trade-offs and getting things done. For the first time, we are establishing a chief operating officer with end-to-end P&L responsibility across content, hardware, platforms, and services. Helen Chang has been promoted to this role and report directly to me. Over nearly 2 decades at Xbox, Helen has helped build some of our most important businesses, from Xbox Live to leading Mojang and other Minecraft franchises. She will bring our business together under one operating model, make sure we make clear investment decisions, learn from our success and failures, and hold ourselves accountable for results. Thank you, David McCarthy, who is retiring after 17 years with Xbox. Dave has played a defining role in building the platform that millions of players rely on every day and has been trusted partner through many of the biggest moments in Xbox history, and we wish him all the best. These changes are about are a bigger future for Xbox, not a smaller one. The next decade of gaming will be larger, more global, and more creative than anything we've seen before. This year, we invest as much in Xbox as we ever have, but we'll invest with greater focus, greater discipline, and greater clarity, all in service of making Xbox where the world plays and creates. I want Xbox to be one of the few companies that entertains more than 1 billion people each day and gives everyone the opportunity to create and connect. I know we can achieve this goal. Xbox has many of the most beloved franchise in entertainment history, talented studios around the world, and we will return to growth in 2027. History is full of companies that make longevity for innovative in oh man, I messed that one up big time. We will not be one of them. Asha, that was her whole post. Lots to dig in there. Do you want to start?
Yeah. So I want to say that I will never be for layoffs. I will never be cheering for them. I will never be advocating for them or saying that they're uh like I always think there's a way around them. And cuz and one of the reasons why is because I feel like um layoffs only layoffs are basically telling us, the consumer, that there's there's been a lot of mismanagement and there's been a lot of incompetency in the brand or in the company or whoever's doing the laying off. And I still believe that. I still think that if a company is laying off, a mass laying off people, that there's something wrong and they're not doing their jobs correctly. But that's essentially what Asha Sharma has been saying too. So it's like, on the one hand, I don't like that this is happening, but on the other hand, like, she's also saying the same thing. She's echoing that same sentiment. And I understand that. And she wants Xbox to be better, and she's laying everything out on the table in order to do so. And I think she's been more transparent than uh Phil Spencer was when he was the head of Xbox. Because a lot of times, while he would be like upfront and apologize and say what's happening and it's saying it's for the better business and all this and that, he always kind of like sugarcoated it. He didn't really like say why they're doing it. He just kind of like was very vague and broad about what these layoffs are supposed to accomplish. And I think what's refreshing about Asha is that she's being brutally honest. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't like what she's saying. And I agree. I don't like that she's saying this. Oh, I don't like the words that she's saying, but I like that she's being upfront about it and saying it. Because a lot of times CEOs, they try to backpedal, they try to hide and word things very specifically so that way it's not as bad. No, she was very blunt about this, and that's what I can at least respect her for. Um Now, so just tackling things like one by one.
Yeah.
The studios that left. Um,
The four
so
studios.
the 4 studios, so it's, Double
Compulsion,
Fine, yeah, Compulsion, Double Fine, Ninja Theory, and,
Undead Labs.
Undead Labs, and potentially Arcane Leon. Which the reason why I say potentially is because there's a bunch of legality stuff because they're in France,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of different laws regarding that. So it may happen, it may not, we don't know, but they're starting the process now. Um, I'm I don't want to say I'm happy, but at the very least, at the very, very, very least, no studios were closed, because that
Yeah.
was one thing that people were very they were harping on, about that everybody was on the chopping block. There was so many news and so much rumors and speculation that everybody was getting the axe and every studio was getting closed down, and that ended up not being the case, thank goodness. And I'm thankful for that. Um so at least these studios, and to add to that, they got to keep their IP, which is something that nobody expected to happen. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times when studios get spun off or sold, it's done with the intent to keep the IP and put it to somebody else. So like Xbox could have very easily taken Psychonauts from Double Fine. They could have taken State of Decay. They could have taken Senua away from Ninja Theory. They could have taken um South of Midnight. Like they could have taken all of that and kept it to themselves and just like sat on it until they decided to bring it out. But no, they gave it back to them so that way those studios can still work on sequels and other games within those IPs and benefit from that. And that's, I would say that's very commendable. I don't think a studio or any other publisher would do that. Um
They're
and
also
it's
still publishing these games. So even though these studios are going independent or finding new buyers, they're still gonna publish the games.
Yes, that's another thing that kind of goes under the radar with a lot of these news things is that they are, yeah, they're still funding it. They're not just like, here, figure it out on your own. Like no, they're going to see these games through at least until they release, and then after that they're on their own. Um and I think again that's commendable for them. Um as far as the choices, so one thing that I've noticed over the past decade is that, or at least maybe not the past decade, but since these acquisitions were made, because a lot of them were made at the same time. Actually, I think all of them were made at the same time. Now I think about it, aside from Arcane, was in like 2018, I think it was, or 2019, um, that they announced they acquired this stuff. But I think they were acquired with the intention of building them up to be bigger than they were at the time. And I don't know if it was just the whole like Phil Spencer's philosophy regarding how he wants to handle studios and his like hands-off approach was like, "Oh, you can make what you want to make and you come to us and, we'll put it out." At least that's what it felt like he was doing. But that just never happened. It felt like those studios stayed the same, like throughout their entire uh time with Xbox. Like Ninja Theory, you could have made an argument that they could have made the Xbox version of God of War. Because if you look at their past and the games that they've made, they have the ability to make like action games on that level with the quality of like Hellblade and well, yeah, Hellblade. So like
Yeah.
if you like mix those two, like you would think, "Oh, that's a recipe for greatness." But they never really got past that like double A level. Like yeah, they were Hellblade looked amazing, but it was still a very niche title. Same thing for Double Fine. Like they with Psychonauts, like that was something that could have been pushed to beyond, like with the Psychonauts 3 or with anything else. But since being acquired, all that they really released, well, aside from Psychonauts 2, which was already in the process of being released, was Keeper and Kiln. And I would not say that those are any like blockbuster game. Now, granted, they serve an audience, like people who are interested in those little, like smaller indie styled games. That's fine, but like they're not something that you would say, "Oh, I need to get an Xbox for."
Yeah, they're not system sellers. Yeah.
Right. And then the same thing with Compulsion. They released South of Midnight, which is a very unique style. It was something that had never been done before, and I think in terms of like the impact that it made uh from like from a social aspect, I think it did a good job. It was critically acclaimed, but it didn't move anything. It didn't move the needle. Like nobody was really saying I got to get an Xbox for South of Midnight. And then the same thing with State of Decay, which that could have been, and I still think it could um possibly be something big for them. They just took too long. And that's also on Xbox themselves too, because they announced it too soon. I remember reading an interview that they said when it was announced in 2020, that it was just a Word document. Like, there was no production ever started on State of Decay. It was just literally a file on a computer, and that's it. Um, so and that's why, like, some people were a little upset because in the trailer, in the reveal trailer, they showed zombie animals, and that was, like, something unique and interesting that they coulda experimented with, and then they ended up, uh, canning it because they never had any plans to do that. It was just something that whoever made the trailer decided to do. Um, so when you take all of that in totality, it paints a picture that, like, these studios really didn't do much for Xbox. So, what is the point of keeping them at Xbox?
Yeah.
I don't think, not to say that, like, they're bad studios or any that they're bad games, but, like, is that what Xbox needs? Because for the longest time, Xbox has been struggling to put out anything that is worthwhile for the average gamer to say, "Hey, I need to be on Xbox to play this game." And they've tried. They've had some minor successes, but nothing that really blew anything out of the water. And that was the issue. They so with these games leaving, it's not that big of a blow, or these studios leaving, I should say. It's not that big of a blow because I don't think they were doing anything for Xbox anyway. Um, what I think needs to be done is that Xbox needs to, and it seems like that's what they're doing, that they need to focus on being the AAA developer or the AAA publisher again, because that's why they're, at least that's why they're in the position they're in. They haven't been focusing on that stuff. PlayStation has, Nintendo has, and any other publisher has as well. I mean, granted, they also have their smaller titles that they can kind of like sprinkle around here and there. But because Xbox is in the position that they're in, they can't be doing that. I don't think they can afford to be focusing on smaller titles. Maybe in the future they can, and maybe if they do, it would probably be better off to partner with third-party studios for those projects. Outside of that, I don't think their first-party studios should be making these like art house games, like these I want to call them Oscar bait games. Or I guess this wouldn't be Oscar bait, I guess dice bait. I
Dice
don't know what.
bait.
Yeah, whatever game awards that, because they tend to win these awards, but again, it doesn't move the needle. So like, it's not justifiable enough, at least from a financial point. Um, so yeah, I think Xbox is making the necessary changes to refocus on their IP that are going to deliver.
And
And
not just their IP though. That the 14 layers of management is absolutely
well,
insane.
yes, I was gonna get to that next because
Okay.
that's also crazy. So yeah, just to wrap things up, like I think this is the best move that they can make for them and for these studios, because I think these studios they can flourish better under either new management or being independent, because now they don't have that pressure of having to deliver on the same level as like a Gears of War or a Halo or a Forza, because that's what the Xbox needs and that's what they want. You're not going to get that with any of these games. Maybe State of Decay, maybe, but again, that's neither here nor there. They're already separated. That's what they're moving forward with now. So now we can only move forward. So at least these studios, they're still intact. They can hire other people outside. They're independent. Well, two of them are independent. I think Compulsion and Double Fine are independent, and Ninja Theory and Undead Labs are being sold to somebody. They haven't disclosed who that is yet. I guess we'll find out. Some people are saying it's probably like Crafton or maybe 2K. I don't know, but we'll have to see. So, but overall, I think them spinning them off away from Xbox is not a bad thing, and I think it was a
Rumors,
necessary thing.
yeah, the rumors before this was announced was that Xbox is dead. Their studios, they're closing all these studios. So, according to the rumors, how they were placed around the internet, this is actually the best option
It was the
that
best
actually came
outcome.
out. This is the best outcome for sure.
Yes,
100%.
definitely. It still sucks, but it's the best outcome, and I think that's all we could have hoped for when we heard about all this stuff happening. Um, Now as far as like the management stuff, that is insane. Like I don't know how any company can operate with that much headway to go through. I was watching a video, I think I sent it in the chat that it was or maybe somebody else sent it that it
Oh,
was
I sent
basically a yeah, yeah, it was a visualization of how much layers is 14 layers of approval essentially that has to go that a game or anything has to go through. And it's crazy. And at any point, somebody can say, "Nah," and then everything just gets thrown out. And that's crazy. How could any company or any brand like function under that much like just it's fluff. Like there's
yeah.
no point for that. I
Imagine
don't
being
get
at
it.
work. Imagine being at work and you have to ask 14 different people, can you go on a break?
Exactly.
Can I go on a break now? Oh, let's ask Greg. All right, Greg, this guy wants to go on a break. Oh, we'll take it up to Todd. Todd, he's going 14 different times
Yes. That
just to get a answer. And then by the time you're starved, by the time you get an answer, your shift almost over.
Yeah, exactly. You're about to be old. But yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, and a lot of a lot of times people give like Phil slack for like not doing certain things or focusing too much on specific things. Honestly, it probably is just that he just doesn't know about all this stuff because it never gets to him because it probably dies on layer 10. Like I that's literally probably what happens. And the fact that nobody thought, "Hey, maybe this is probably not a good idea." Well, I know why. It's because they all had cushy jobs. Nobody's gonna say nothing because they're all getting paid. So, w like, let's be real. If any of us was in that position where they were layer 9 in 14 and nobody was saying anything about their job. They were just
Bang.
coming in. Yeah, you bank out. You just do whatever you gotta do to keep that job. Anybody in that position would do it. Until one day somebody comes in and says, "Hey," it's like you ever seen the movie Office Space?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, it's like where they come in and they say, "What is exactly it is you do here?" It's like, and that's all it takes. And then you're just like, and then you gotta face the reality that you got away with basically doing nothing. Um, but yeah, it's ridiculous uh the amount of layers that it took for stuff to get approved. And that's probably why Xbox was not even probably, that's exactly why Xbox seems so slow moving when it comes to this stuff. Like, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but like one of the first things that everybody was talking about when Xbox acquired Bethesda was that, hey, Obsidian and Fallout are now under the same roof.
Yep.
There's like an obvious thing that needs to happen right here. Why not do it? And then it never materialized. Nothing ever came from it for years. Everybody was talking they should do this, they should do this. And instead we got Avowed, we got Outer Worlds 2, we got Grounded, and we got Pentiment. We got all these other games from Obsidian except the obvious one, which was another Fallout game. And it seems like that's probably why we never got it, is because it just never got around to being done. Because of all these layers causing these delays. It probably took them like 3 months just to get a confirmation that, hey, we can talk about it. Like, oh man, bothers me so much that this went on for so long and nobody knew. And the fact that Asha called it out and was just like, yeah, this was happening. This cannot happen makes me respect her a little bit more because she's being honest. She's telling everybody, "Hey, this shit was crazy. I don't know how they were doing this stuff before, but I'm not doing that anymore."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess you needed somebody to come in and tell you, "Hey, you're doing this wrong. We need to do it this way so we can be better." And
Yeah.
they weren't getting that with Phil. They weren't getting that with Sarah. It was more the same. So this is just absolutely insane. But let's just continue with that. We have you mentioned Obsidian. They're done with Avowed. The Avowed is gone. They're not going to
For
do a
now,
sequel for
supposedly
now.
it's not canceled.
It's shelved.
It's shelved.
They've
Yes,
shelved it. They shelved it to work on a new Fallout, which would have been the obvious answer, like you said. People have been wanting this for a while. It makes sense. The show is phenomenal. They got the show out there. The normies are watching the show. Fallout 76 has seen spikes since the show. Obsidian, instead of working on a Vow 2, which won't move the needle like other games have, work on a Fallout, which can move the needle.
right. And supposedly there was talk about Obsidian doing another Fallout game prior to Bethesda being acquired, and Bethesda said no.
Yeah,
Because apparently, I don't know if this is true, this is rumor, speculation, whatever, that Todd Howard doesn't like other studios doing their games. And after Fallout New Vegas, with all that stuff that happened, I don't know if you know the whole behind the scenes stuff, that there was like a bonus attached to it based on a Metacritic score and all that stuff. After
yeah, I
all that
heard.
happened, they decided no, only Bethesda Softworks can work on Fallout, and that was the mandate,
I
and it
mean,
just
if
never
that's the
happened.
case, we'll have one game every generation from them.
Yes,
It
exactly.
it would be absolutely insane not to use Obsidian. They're a great developer. They can make a Fallout game. It just makes more sense. Work
It
on
does.
Fallout, get the hype going, make it available for the next console, Helix, and push it out. If Todd Howard doesn't like it, and listen, I'm a Todd Howard fan. I like Todd Howard, but if he doesn't like it, tell him to retire. He's been there for like 17, 18 years, you
Yeah.
know? Tell him to
Yeah.
retire if he don't like it. We got to move forward, and we can't move forward by holding things back.
Yeah, especially since, like, the next Fallout was probably gonna be, like, 2035 at the earliest, because we still don't know when Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out. And rumors say it's still, like, 2 or 3 years away.
Well, Asher Sherman is about to put belt to ass to Todd Howard to get that game out.
For real. But honestly, the thing is too, going back to like the studios and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like this this is not to say that Xbox can't do those games. Like they can't, like Avowed 2 being shelved, it's not to say that it's gone forever. It's not to say that Obsidian can't work on those types of games ever again. The thing is, like, right now, they need to focus on guaranteed wins, guaranteed successes, because that's what's gonna fuel the future of Xbox, and that's what's gonna let them be able to make other types of games. Because they games like Gears and the basically the big 4, the Xbox 4, Halo, Gears, Forza, Fable. Those were the big 4, and for a long time, that was the only thing that they were producing. But now, under with Bethesda and Activision, they also got Diablo, they also got Wolfenstein, they got Fallout, they got Elder Scrolls, they got, I mean, granted, this is still, they're still operating with Activision being kind of like run by themselves, but they got Call of Duty, they got Diablo, they got Overwatch, they got so much IP right now that it's a different situation that they can actually benefit from. They don't have to make these smaller games to like kind of stand out. They can focus on their big IP for a change. Games that have been dormant for a long time. People have been asking for another Wolfenstein. People have been asking for another Fallout. They've been asking for other games, other studios to work on different games. StarCraft, that's another one that people have been asking for. There's been talks about potentially another what am I I'm blanking on the name. Uh Anyway, regardless, there's been games that people have been asking for that have been dormant for so long, and now they have an opportunity to bring those games to light and allow other studios within the Xbox portfolio to work on them. Instead of working on like all these other different projects, they can hone in on the IP they have. Can you imagine a Halo game done by, well, I mean, we'll talk about it, but a Halo game done by like Machine Games or id or just any other studio that they have. Like
You could have one of the support studios from Call of Duty,
or
um
Raven
Raven
or
Software.
Treyarch.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all those
Have them
games,
make a Halo game.
yeah, and that's another thing too. I hope with this that they're more open to spin-offs within the universe because I've always said that like these games, while they're great for like the mainline titles, they can offer so much more if they were to branch out a little bit and
Yeah.
do like spin-off games, smaller spin-off games that still like serve that purpose of like having a game within that universe, but leaving enough room for like the main studio to do the bigger games, you know? Um one of the best examples I can think of is like Halo ODST. I love that game. That game had the best story, the best Halo story of all Halo games, at least in my opinion. And a lot
Yeah.
of people love that game. Why don't we have another game like that? Like, why does it have to be Halo Studios working on Halo? It can be Halo Studios like supports them, and then another studio does it. So it's like, I hope that we get more with that or with these changes.
Yeah, no, it would definitely all the changes are would definitely be great for Xbox going forward. This whole post with the Asha did is a couple days old, and since then there have been a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation about you know where the layoffs landed and who got laid off, and what was going to happen with some studios. One of the biggest rumors that they were talking about was id Software, right? The makers of
Yes.
Doom. They the rumors were it is done. It Tech is dead. They have one person working on it Tech now, so everything's done. And it turns out that's just not true. Not true at all. We have an article from Jez Corden out of Windows Central, and he talks about how the cuts were definitely brutal, but its software, like the rumor mill behind its software is 100% exaggerated. Even id Software had to come out and make a statement. Their particular statement was that they support all the they thank everybody for all the support that they've been getting, and said while the studio was impacted, those changes were spread across teams. We still have crews we need to build the games and tech we're known for. The team today is about the same size we were when making Doom 2016. We always had a flat studio where everyone is a maker, and we remain true to that philosophy moving forward. So like they're good. They've made Doom 2016 with the same size team that they currently have after the layoffs. They're gonna be fine, and it Tech is going to be fine moving forward as well. And just the rumors are really, really just spinning out of control. I think they wanted them to be worse, right? I think people wanted Xbox to be dead. They wanted these studios to close. They wanted id Software to die just so that they can have brownie points and clicks and likes on their articles for these game journalists, so called. And it just didn't happen. So the rumors just started spreading. But they just have to come out and say it. These games will still be made. They will still be using id Tech. They will still, like, Activision still uses id Tech. Of course, they're not going to get rid of it. Of course, they're not going to just let it die where it's at. They're still going to be using this technology and these studios. It just really just it's upsetting how the rumors took out and a lot of people ran with it without any facts at all.
I mean, we saw that over the past few weeks with like before these layoffs officially happened, that everybody was just saying anything. It was all in an effort just to get clicks and to get that engagement revenue. That's all it was. And that's what's going to continue to happen. And I sincerely hope that Xbox realizes this and they move accordingly because I it's it's becoming apparent that the reason why people try to just dunk on Xbox is because it works. People tend to both fanboys from every avenue come and look because they either want to be they want to be angry, they hate click or whatever, and or they want to, poke fun at Xbox players and Xbox itself and stuff like that. But either way, it's getting them the engagement that they want. And I think the next step probably should be for Xbox to hone in on where these like leaks are coming from, because that's the reason why like they do so much, because people on the inside are always talking to people on like these insiders or whatever, and it's more apparent for Xbox than any other company as well. We don't see the same level of PlayStation leaks. We don't see the same level of Nintendo leaks, especially. Like I don't think there's anything that leaks from Nintendo. Um
They just got a
aside
raise. Ain't nobody leaking nothing in
Well,
Nintendo.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's also a difference of philosophy. I think because those are Japanese-based companies, they just have a different way of doing things. And I hope that Xbox can kind of, I don't want to say like replicate it, but like just focus on like what is leaking out and where it could potentially be coming from. Honestly, maybe part of the layoffs was to address that too. Maybe they had some suspicions on who was actually leaking stuff.
You know, it was probably layer 7 in management.
Could be, could be. Um, Actually, going back to like the layoffs and stuff, and like again, I'll reiterate, I do not like layoffs. I don't think they're good, and I don't, I don't, uh, I don't revel in other people's misfortunes, especially like when they're losing their job and stuff like that. I would never say I want that to happen. But on the other hand, you have to be realistic about um the expectations of the job that you have. In any job, when you are hired, they tell you from the get-go, or at least like as you're, through orientation or whatever the case may be, what the company's expectations are for you as an employee. And it is up to you to meet those expectations. And I'm sure like every, or I don't want to say every, but most companies do like a performance review, annual, whatever, quarterly, whatever the case may be. I get them, and you either meet the standard, or you meet the standard, you're above the standard, or you're below the standard. And if you're constantly below the standard, there's something that needs to happen. And I think this is what we're seeing right now. For the longest time, there's these, well, I don't want to say they're all, I'm sure there's like top level executives and stuff like that. It's not all developers that are being let go, but if you're below standard, then there's something that needs to change. And granted, I don't know like what goes behind these layoffs, but I have to imagine that if you're not meeting standards, or you're not exceeding standards, and you're not meeting the expectations of the company that you work for, your job is in jeopardy. Like
Yeah.
that's just the reality of the situation. So like it's very possible that a lot of these layoffs were people whose jobs were in jeopardy because of them not meeting the expectations of Xbox or Microsoft or whoever. And now I'm not to say that everybody was, a lot of it is just cost cutting. Maybe somebody was making too much money, and whatever the case may be. But I'm willing to bet that a good chunk of people who got laid off were probably not meeting expectations. And that's just the reality of the situation. That goes for anybody in the workforce. You can't expect your job to be secure if you're not doing your part. And honestly, that when I see that at my job all the time, and it pisses me off. I was just like, bro, you've been here for like years and you always slack off. Why are you here? I see it all the time, and I'm sure it happens at Xbox. It happens everywhere. So
Yeah.
like we have to also keep that in mind.
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, I guess we can get to the last bit of news that we have going on, and that will be Xbox is testing this to digital feature that digitizes a physical game collection. So it says Xbox employees recently started testing a new feature after references to enable disc to digital appeared on the Xbox PC app code in May. So this feature will allow people to put in a physical disc into their console and download a digital license so they can have the game digitally instead of just putting the disc in every time and own it digitally. And I think this will be a good thing going forward for Helix, and for the future, any future generation consoles. It gives people the options to buy physical media and then make it digital if they want to, or continue with the physical media. It's sort of They're sort of taking a different route than what PlayStation is going. I think this may be better.
Yeah, I think this is, I mean, obviously we've heard about this before. Um, this could be something that gives them a little bit of an advantage heading into next gen because, like I said before, Xbox's backwards compatibility program supports physical discs. So having that as an option for them would be something that people might consider when moving up into next gen. Um, Obviously, it needs to be more to this, but I feel like this is a good first step in at least acknowledging that physical games play some role in gamers' libraries or, what they prefer and how they prefer to play games, and giving them the option being like, "Hey, we know you have the physical game. We're allowing you," and it's not gonna be every game. It's gonna be similar to like the original backwards compatibility program. It's probably gonna be in waves. There's gonna be some games supported at first, and then as time goes on, more games will get supported. But giving you the option to gain the benefits of digital while still having the physical disc, if that's what you value, is something that's beneficial for everybody. Because I feel I said it before. I have like one physical game for Xbox, and I think I mentioned I said it. I have it's Midnight Suns, and if I can make that digital, so that way I don't have to play it on my console, and I can play it on the cloud, or I could play it on my Ally. That's beneficial for me. So it's like, why not? And I can still keep the disc. And I think that's the best thing about this. And it's supposed to be going into effect this week. Well, that's what the rumors say. We don't know. But it might be a preview thing that is for insiders first.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm an insider, so hopefully I get it. But it's still something that is forward thinking while also respecting the past, which is physical disc. Because I do think that Helix is gonna be a digital platform only, but I think this kind of lends to the idea that there will be like an add-on that people can buy, and I think it has to be cheap. It has to be cheap, because if you're charging like $150 for a disk drive, that all it is just gonna read the disk and then give you the digital license, that's bullshit. Like, there's no way people are gonna buy that, and people are gonna be more pissed off at that. So I think Xbox has a real opportunity to kind of change the narrative regarding like the physical versus digital argument and make it a more positive one for them. And so far, what I've seen of people reacting to this news has been positive.
Yeah.
So we'll see what this ends up being, if it ends up being anything. But um yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Same. I think this was all just good news in terms for this particular program. We'll just have to wait and see how well they implement it.
Yeah, and what it would support, because I think right now it only, well, at least the rumor says it's only going to support Xbox One games and Series X and S games. I don't think it's going to be 360 and OG Xbox games, because I don't think those are
I mean,
available.
a lot of those are backwards compatible anyway. You could just put the disc in and play. So
Yeah, so yeah, they kind of already do that. So if you have
Yeah,
those discs, you don't really need to. uh,
yeah.
but
But that's what we got for the news.
yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot this week. But yeah, we made it through.
We always do.
um, we always do. If you're watching on YouTube, you can like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening to us on a podcasting app, you can share us and rate us and do all that nice stuff so we can spread the word of our podcast. If you look in the description, you can see our sponsors, W Energy, NordVPN. You can save some money off of products and subscriptions. And if you support them, they'll support us, and we'll thank them, and we'll thank you. That's it. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace out.